a minus 31 free throw discrepancy, and the disrespect right now for our team.
Every game, regardless, you're making shots, you're not, your teammates behind you.
The drama surrounding Game 3 of the Indiana Fever and Las Vegas Aces wasn't supposed to be about controversy. It was supposed to be about basketball, grit, talent, and legacy in the making. But what unfolded inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse that night left fans questioning not just the integrity of officiating, but the very fairness of the WNBA postseason. The Fever came out swinging, ready to prove themselves against the defending champions. Yet by the time the final buzzer sounded, it wasn't a battle between two elite teams that people were talking about. It was a story of bias, injustice, and one injured player's heroic fight against the odds. That player was Lexie Hull. The 26-year-old guard had been battling through a nagging back injury all series long. She was hurting, moving gingerly in warm-ups, grimacing after every drill, and everyone assumed she'd be limited to spot minutes at best. But from the second the game began, Hull played with the kind of defiance that turns pain into purpose. Every loose ball became hers. Every shot was a declaration. She fought like someone who refused to let circumstance dictate her fate. Lexie Hull played through pain that would have sidelined most players. She dove for balls like her life depended on it, crashed into screens, boxed out players far stronger than she was, and kept the Fever alive when everything seemed stacked against them. Every time she hit the floor, fans held their breath, but every time she rose again, the arena erupted in raw admiration. It was the kind of performance that should have been immortalized in Indiana sports lore. Yet, instead of celebrating her courage, that night became consumed by the refereeing scandal that overshadowed everything. From the opening minutes, the game spiraled into chaos. Fans could feel it. The whistles came too quickly, too often, and almost always in one direction. What should have been a clash of equals turned into an officiating nightmare. Possession after possession, Fever defenders were penalized for the kind of contact that went uncalled on the other end. Every trip down the floor felt like walking on glass. Coach Stephanie White had warned about it after Game 2, saying, "It's hard to find rhythm when there's a foul call every 10 seconds." Her words came true again, louder and clearer than ever. The Fever couldn't build flow, couldn't play their system. The game was being strangled not by Vegas's defense, but by stoppages, reviews, and phantom fouls. The fans felt it, the players felt it, and when the final quarter arrived, the anger reached a breaking point. The Fever had built a narrow lead in the third quarter, momentum that came from sheer willpower. Aaliyah Boston was dominating inside, holding MVP A'ja Wilson to one of her worst postseason shooting nights ever. Kelsey Mitchell was slicing through defenders, creating plays out of nothing. The energy was electric. The fans were roaring. And then it happened, the call that broke everything. Jackie Young was whistled for a foul, Boston immediately motioned for a review, and Coach White called for a challenge. But the officials ignored it. No review, no explanation, just play on. Seconds later, Chelsea Gray hit a dagger three-pointer that flipped the lead. The air was sucked out of the building. What had been Indiana's night turned into Vegas's escape. By the final minutes, the Fever weren't just fighting the Aces. They were fighting the system. Every blocked shot seemed to draw a whistle. Every drive from Wilson came with free throws. It wasn't basketball anymore. It was manipulation disguised as officiating. Fans inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse began chanting in anger. Social media exploded, flooding timelines with slow-motion clips of missed calls, ignored reviews, and phantom fouls. The phrase daylight robbery began trending across the country. People weren't describing a tough playoff loss, they were describing something that felt stolen, plain, and simple. The irony is that even amid the controversy, Indiana's defense was phenomenal. Aaliyah Boston completely neutralized A'ja Wilson, holding her to just 13 points on 6 for 20 shooting. For the reigning MVP, that was a career-low playoff performance. Boston's footwork, strength, and poise were surgical, forcing Wilson into awkward shots, denying her space, and standing tall under relentless contact. And yet, the whistle didn't protect her. Every textbook contest seemed to draw a foul. Every bit of discipline was punished. The message was clear. Play hard, but not too hard. Defend well, but not too well. It was enough to make even the calmest players erupt in frustration. Inside the Fever locker room, emotions were raw. Players sat in silence, heads down, shoulders slumped, still processing what had just happened. Lexie Hull, still aching, told reporters, It's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. The disrespect right now for our team has been unbelievable. It wasn't bitterness, it was heartbreak. They had done everything right, and it still wasn't enough. Game 4 was no longer just about survival, it became personal. The Fever weren't just playing for a series win anymore, they were playing for respect. The plan was clear: come out swinging, reclaim their rhythm, and force the game into their hands, not the officials. Boston had to dominate the paint again. Mitchell had to rediscover her aggression. And Lexie Hull, the team's emotional anchor, had to once again lead through pain and defiance. And they had one advantage no whistle could silence: 17,000 roaring fans. Gainbridge Fieldhouse was about to become a cauldron. The Fever's home crowd wasn't just passionate, it was unrelenting, the kind of noise that shakes a champion's composure. Even Aces coach Becky Hammon had admitted earlier in the season that Vegas hated playing in Indiana. For Game 4, the Fever needed that energy like oxygen. This was redemption night, their chance to rewrite the narrative and show that what was stolen couldn't be silenced. The Fever's story isn't just about one controversial game, it's about identity. It's about a team that refuses to fold, a roster battered by injuries and disrespect, but still standing tall. It's about players like Lexie Hull, who play through pain and put their bodies on the line not for glory, but for pride. It's about Aaliyah Boston, who faced down the league's most dominant player and won that battle, even if the scoreboard didn't say so. Game 3 may have been tainted, but it revealed something powerful. The Fever's heart beats louder than any whistle. Their fight for respect is far from over, and the league knows it now. Because what happened in that arena wasn't just bad officiating, it was a wake-up call. So, what do you think? Was this just another case of poor officiating, or did the Fever get robbed in plain sight? And can Indiana turn all that frustration into fuel for the ultimate redemption in Game 4? Let me know what you think in the comments below.